right, Husker fans, for the second straight year, Nebraska has added a transfer portal quarterback, and it might be the one that we weren't really thinking about. There had been talks of Arkansas's Malik Hornsby coming in to be kind of a backup developmental guy behind Casey Thompson. So I think it was a bit of a surprise, caught a lot of people off guard that Jeff Sims from Georgia Tech committed, is coming to the Nebraska program. And I think that confuses maybe some people. We thought, hey, you got Casey Thompson, get a guy like Malik Hornsby, who was more of a developmental guy. But one thing that we have to remember is that Casey Thompson has to have shoulder surgery, and he's going to be out for most of spring ball. And adding a guy like Jeff Sims who can come in and compete right away and be in spring, I think is huge, because I like Casey Thompson quite a bit, but having him there in spring is very crucial. And so getting Jeff Sims, not only can he provide some competition, I think for the longest time Nebraska really hasn't had a true quarterback competition with talented guys, and I think you get Jeff Sims competing against Casey Thompson. I think it's going to bring out the best in both of them. And then if Casey's not ready to go, you have a guy that's gone through spring, gone through the program, and has that success. I know there is some skepticism around Jeff Sims because of his stats. He didn't have the best stats while at Georgia Tech. He was hurt quite a bit. He didn't, if you average his passing yards over the course of his career, it's under 200 yards per game, 30 touchdowns, 23 interceptions. And those interceptions, I think, scare a lot of people off. But one thing to kind of remember is those interceptions numbers went down this past year in only a limited number of games. He only threw 3 interceptions, and 2 of them were really not his fault. So I think that can kind of alleviate maybe some of the concerns. Now, I went and watched 3 of Sims's games. I watched Clemson, I watched Central Florida, I watched Duke. And the first thing that stood out to me was his athletic ability. Jeff Sims is a guy who is an athlete, a dual threat guy. And he's got good quickness. He's got the ability, whether it's zone reads, quarterback designed runs, or just escaping the pocket. He has that quickness to elude the defenders. But what I really liked was his ability to just accelerate. He had that second gear where he could get to the open space, and then boom, he's gone, accelerating to even a top speed and helping him run away from defenders. He wasn't just, hey, I made a quick move and I get out and now I'm going to get caught. He has that ability, given the room, that he can accelerate and pick up big yards, even, maybe some long touchdowns. The thing I liked was, in the fact that when he signed, Matt Rule talked about wanting a dual threat quarterback. And I think Jeff Sims gives that, they are going to run him some. I don't think it's going to be a heavy quarterback run game in this offense, but he gives them that escapability. We all know with our offensive line issues the last several years, having some escapability is crucial. Another thing to kind of keep in mind from what I saw was Sims has experience in the RPO game. If we look at what Matt Rule's offense was at Baylor, they ran a lot of run pass option plays. And Jeff Sims had that ability to do so when he is the tape that I saw, at Georgia Tech, they ran several run pass options, and he is able to make those quick decisions, get the ball out quick, and have some success as that. Now, obviously, we got to talk about his throwing, and because that's the main concern. And I think Jeff Sims has some tools to work on. He's got a strong arm. It's not a cannon. He's not going to be able to throw the ball 80 yards in the air. But he's got the ability to drive the ball to receivers. He's got the ability to push the ball deep. I'd say he has about the same arm strength as a Casey Thompson. Right? Sims, in the games that I watched, showed the ability to make accurate throws to the short and intermediate routes. He can hit wide receivers in stride, both on the deep ball and the short and intermediate routes. The ball came out quick. It wasn't something that was took him a while to get off. Once he saw his receiver, he was able to, make those throws. Now, the concerns I have, what I'm kind of worrying a little bit about, is that he sometimes can stare down his receivers. He was, he'd stare down a receiver and have to see him get open. He'd show at times good anticipation. There was one time he saw the cornerback sit down on the out route, and as soon as he saw him sitting down, he was able to hit the receiver going down the sideline in that cover 2 slot. There's times he saw the linebacker coming and threw with the anticipation to that running wide receiver cutting across the middle. But too often he had to see the receiver come open, like his hook routes, his out routes. That receiver had to get open before he made that throw. So that is a little bit of a concern as a thrower. Like I said, he's tended to stare down receivers a little too much, but he's got that ability. And another issue I had was a lot of his crossing routes and breaking routes, the ball was behind the receiver. And I'm hoping with time, with more experience, with more work, that's stuff that can be fixed. But those are my concerns. Overall, I like this move for Nebraska. Like I said, they need some competition. I like Casey Thompson a lot. I think Casey Thompson is the better quarterback. So if he's healthy, he's ready to go. I think he's the better choice. But that being said, he's going to miss all spring ball. Is he going to be ready to go during fall camp? Is he going to have the learning curve coming back that Jeff Sims doesn't? I think Jeff Sims gives this team some insurance, gives them some potential to have a good quarterback. He reminded me a lot of watching him and previously watching Baylor, trying to figure out what their offense is going to be. I saw a lot of Charlie Brewer in him and just how he ran those run pass options. And he also reminded me a lot of PJ Walker for what Matt Rule had at Temple. And they played a similar style. They're both athletic quarterbacks. They can move around. I mean, Jeff Sims also, he's 6'4". He's got good size. He's a little thinner, but he's got good size. He's a good athlete. I think but Matt Rule wants to run a dual threat quarterback, and I think that is extremely important at a place like Nebraska, especially in football today. The good quarterbacks in the NFL, the good quarterbacks in college, they're all mobile guys. And I think the more I watched of Jeff Sims, the more impressed I was, the more optimistic I was. So I initially didn't really know much about him, was a little skeptical, but I think Nebraska got a good one in Jeff Sims, and I can't wait to see how he's used in Nebraska's offense.